As Mother Nature makes its transitions through the seasons, so do the white-tailed deer. Growing antlers and adding body weight during the summer months prepares the majestic buck for the hard breeding season ahead. The sharp antlers, plus his physical shape, will be the deciding factor on what part of the breeding season he'll play. When a whitetail's antlers reach maturity, his natural instincts tell him it'll soon be time to fight for the right to breed. This is nature's way of ensuring the strongest bucks will propagate the herd. For many sportsmen, the antlers become the deciding factor as to which animal they hope to take during the hunt. Reading tattletale signs left behind by a rutting buck is a great part of what whitetail hunting is all about, which is a major part of a buck's ritual for all other deer in his area to read. Hunters also read these signs to plan their strategies for the hunt. Before the breeding season, a mature whitetail buck may appear and disappear like a ghost without a hint of his presence. Pawing and scraping the ground and then urinating in the scrape marks the territory a particular buck claims for himself. Bucks and does alike may use the scrapes and leave their scent on the licking branches. But it is the dominant buck that usually works the scrape line. It is this sign that offers the sportsman an opportunity to slip into the world of the whitetail, hoping to remain undetected and possibly to have a chance at the buck of his dreams. As the does come into estrus, the bucks will leave their scrape lines and follow the does as long as they're receptive. Only when no does are available will they return to check their scrapes. As the bucks compete for does, many different kinds of vocalizations and body posture indicate to other animals to stay away. Chasing does, like a quarter horse cutting out a cow, is part of the breeding ritual that causes the buck to become weak and worn as the season progresses. Every season, thousands of bow hunters take to the field, hoping for at least one opportunity for a whitetail at close range. Hunting in weather from sunny to foul is all part of what makes whitetail hunting challenging. Hoping to make a very passive sport active, some hunters try rattling and calling deer. The experience of a buck coming to your calling or rattling can certainly change the way most hunters hunt. No matter how one chooses their pursuit, the sight of a big buck in close range is heart-stopping. The Night and Hail team spent the better part of 3 months during the '97 season traveling to several different states in pursuit of America's #1 game animal, the white-tailed deer. Enduring long hours in every kind of weather, using primitive weapons as well as conventional, this ultimate team of hunters captured on video some of the most exciting deer hunts ever recorded. You'll find that exceptional deer vocalization and activity will make this ultimate whitetail video one to remember. Deer calling has brought amazing results, proving once again why whitetail hunting can be so exciting. Hunting food sources, scrape lines, stalking, and making drives were all part of the success and failures of the 1997 season for the Night and Hail team. So sit back and enjoy their version of All Antlers.
Well, guys, there was a special reason for me bringing y'all out here today. You remember last spring when I gathered up those logs and I was going to make a flower garden for my wife?
Yeah.
I changed my mind and made me a split rail fence, and I just want y'all's opinion on it.
Well, I think the split rails are older than you are, is what I think, David.
I'm unable to think about that comment, I can tell you.
Well, actually, if y'all had bought off on this idea, I had a little oceanfront property in Kentucky I was going to sell you today.
bet
But
you
That's
did.
what I figured.
folks, welcome to our 4th edition of Ultimate Whitetail Hunting. You know, guys, the 1997 season was one to remember from several aspects. First of all, we traveled all over the country from Mississippi to Illinois, and we encountered basically the same thing. The leaves stayed on the trees longer.
Mm-hmm.
The rut was about as visible as, and the way we like it, is about as good as it's ever been. There was a lot of acorns in the woods, which kept deer in the woods. They didn't come out all that much. And then we had what I call this El Nino season that everybody's talking about, and the temperatures stayed way warmer all the way through December. And that played a big part on our hunt. But you know what? You couple those warm temperatures and those freak snowstorms that we encountered all during that time,
Yep.
it was really an exciting season.
It really was, and you know, every year we seem to capture something kind of special on video. And last year, y'all remember that hunt with Walter Parrott and I, and he passed that deer up, fortunately, but that buck made some grunting sounds that were just phenomenal. It's different than we've ever heard, and I think he was tending estrus doe as a reason for it.
You know, hearing these sounds and being able to capture them on video, then going back and listening to them, and then trying to make a call that imitate that sound to the T, I think we've done it. And you know, I think that old buck looking at that, I think that he does that when he's following that doe in estrus. And he makes that. He's sort of aggravated because you won't stand for him. And he's saying to that old doe too, you may be saying, you know, you all mine, I'm not gonna share you another buck.
I think you're exactly right, Harold. And what do you say, before we get any further, that we share a little piece of that footage with the audience?
It's great footage. Both those clicking sounds we just heard is exactly the way a buck does when he's in rut.
Sure is.
You know, I can just envision that old big boy sitting out there just out of range, and I pick up my grunt call and I go,
Harold, wait a minute. We got a segment coming up.
Hold on,
You're
guys.
giving away
Hey,
too
while
many
these guys are
secrets. Give me
arguing,
the
let's get
call.
into our
"You
deer
get your own
video.
call."
You've always got to get it out of kilter, haven't you?
All right, Rooster. You know, this is our early season. We're going to have to be hunting a food source. We have clover, alfalfa, and corn. And we got David's been out there since 11 o'clock this morning looking for that isolated acorn tree.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be hunting back away from these fields, trying to catch the deer coming to these fields.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a good game plan.
I think the key too is getting back maybe finding you a little isolated tree that's dropping a little bit earlier than the rest of them. And sometimes them bucks, you know, when they get out here, it's late sometimes.
You know, you're going to be here about 3 days, so what do you say, let's get up here. It's getting about time old David come out. We'll get a report from him, just see what he's found.
And I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Well, sure enough, David found the isolated white oaks dropping acorns, and the next morning finds Joe Drake up in a red oak close by. Joe is a seasoned bow hunter from Columbus, Georgia, and it is not long before he spots several deer coming to the white oaks. A nice 8-pointer is following the does and yearlings, but doesn't present a shot for Joe. A few minutes later, a good 9-point buck appears to Joe's left, but he walks in behind the tree limbs before Joe gets a shot. After a few minutes, the 9-pointer came in to check the does and do a little acorn searching of his own. With the buck facing the other way, Joe decides to give him a quick grunt and hopes that he'll turn and come back.
I tell you what, we ain't gonna have to look for this one very far. I seen him go down. We've tracked him a lot farther than this, but this one's 45 yards right over there laying stone dead. We'll go get him. There it is. He couldn't take that. There he is right there. That's about the best I've done with a bow. That is a beautiful 8-pointer. Well, if you count that, and he's actually a 9. Beautiful buck.
During the first part of the archery season, a hunter can experience some excellent opportunities, especially if he takes advantage of the lay of the land. This period of the season usually revolves around hunting some sort of a food source. Some in-depth scouting has enabled Chuck Jones to focus his hunt time in a narrow strip of woods that lies between 2 fields. There are 2 factors that make this area very attractive to this hunter. First, there are several big red oaks dropping acorns along a dry creek bed. Secondly, in one of the bends of this creek, the banks are sloped. This area is at the point of a cedar thicket the deer are traveling through. With several trails intersecting at this depression in the creek, it is definitely the best ambush spot in this area. Chuck has picked a cedar to hang his Old Man Terra tree stand in. The dark green limbs of this cedar offer some excellent cover. About 8:30, Chuck notices one of the does is alerted and continuously looks up through the woods. If you're lucky enough to have deer around, you can bet they'll always let you know when other deer are coming. Sure enough, there are 2 more deer coming, and they both are nice bucks.
There's 2 bucks. One pretty good deer.
Chuck has an advantage. If he can keep from scaring these does, the buck should feel comfortable seeing other deer here and come on in.
Straight east. I heard an awful racket. I believe he went down. It looked like I hit him real good. Right in the shoulder area. He was kind of quartering. Should have been perfect.
Tell you what, a good pack makes a difference in anything you're hunting. This is a buck's bag pack. Plenty of room to put extra gear, clothes. I don't like to have my quiver on my bow, so I attached it to this pack, hang it on the back of the tree,
It's very accessible. Let's go find this buck. It's the last place I saw that deer. It's important to mark a deer. Here's blood right here. Here's good blood. He came out of that ditch. Man, there's a ton of blood. When he came up out of that ditch, I marked him crossing that ditch, and I marked him and ran right to the left of this tree right here. It's important. When a deer runs off, get a compass out or anything like that, get you a fixed position on the last place you heard him, the last place you saw him. I'm gonna just take off and follow his blood real fast. I don't think he went far, he crashed. Come on, Hale, let's go find him. I didn't think those ACCs would break. I didn't go all the way through that deal. Man, it's good blood. Good blood. That big interceptor Jerry Simmons made will blow a hole in the animal. Hey, here he is. This is what he crashed in. Lord, look at that. That's a good buck. That is a good buck. I'd give anything if I could place a shot like that every time. It just don't happen. Thank the Lord that. Hell, we did good, man. Pretty morning, late September. We got an early bow season this year. Son, we took advantage of it.
Now, let's join Old Man Tree Stands founder, John Lau. John is getting settled into his Old Man Vision that's located on a saddle on a hardwood ridge where several trails converge into an area loaded with white oak acorns. Well, it's not long before deer are on the move. Several does are taking advantage of the fresh fallen acorns. Deer will visit an area like this during all hours of the day. The comfort of Old Man Stands helps bow hunters have more patience and stay in the stand longer, which will increase his odds for success. One privilege bow hunting offers is the opportunity to observe your quarry. This observation can enhance your knowledge of the game you are after and make you a better hunter. It's late morning when John spots a single deer making his way up the ridge. It's a good buck, and the wind seems to be cooperating. An advantage to hunting on the tops of ridges is the consistency of the wind. You don't seem to have the swirling effect that hunting low in the bottoms creates. Finally, the buck passes under John's stand, and when he goes behind a tree, this bow hunter makes his move.
You told me, you said, I wish I could get a quarter and way shot, and you did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we found these white oak acorns up on that hillside raining. We've been hunting food plots and seeing some deer, and you said yesterday evening, I want to get up there in the woods. That reminds me of my home state of Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I got an idea. What's a tip for hunting an area like that when there's a lot of acorns falling in different areas? Find a good tree like we found.
Find a good trail and set up on. That's one of the good things about our stand. You can go in and be real quiet and still be successful when you hunt.
Let's join our team for an ultimate whitetail hunting tip.
That was awful nice of you to bring oil down to help me change my truck. Is that what we're going to be doing?
You know, I knew you'd enjoy my lantern carrying box right here.
I use 30 weight.
Do you?
Yeah.
You know, poor people have poor ways, bud.
Hey, we got a great tip coming up on tracking deer. Several things that have to do with deer hunting. And what we're going to start with first, Walter?
Let's back up and talk about the shot a little bit. You know, something that we call in bow hunting peaking. And actually what it is, when you're trying to make a shot and your adrenaline's flowing and you have a deer up underneath you, and just the instant you release the arrow, you actually jerk your bow just a little bit to try to see where the flight of that arrow went and where you hit the animal. And a lot of times you end up making a bad shot, and you need to really concentrate on picking the spot and holding your bow up after the shot, keeping your release head against your face and the grip on your bow, and just staying in the position after you shoot.
Yeah, don't get jerky. You say
exactly
like I do.
right.
Like he claims I get a little jerky.
He gets a little bit jerky.
All right. Well, you know, I think another thing that's very important after you hit a deer, very important, mark exactly where that deer was,
Exactly.
the place he was. And then I like to mark the last place I saw him, and then I'll listen as far as I can hear him run, and then I'll pull a compass out. I'll get a reading of where I last saw him, last heard him, and mark it. Go back and check and make sure you know exactly where it is. And I've gone so far sometimes as to shoot an arrow in the ground where I saw that deer last time. Pull another arrow out, especially in the area where there's grass and there's nothing there like a stick or a log or a tree to mark it. But you need to know where that deer is. When you get down, you can start right there and find the
And we'll use
possible
surveyor's
blood.
tape to mark with. I mean,
That's right.
carry it in our fanny packs and in our pockets, and we always got tape on us. You mark that last spot, and it seems like almost every time I get a chance to shoot at one, it's right before dark. That's a magic time, as you say.
That's right.
And you're going to have a tracking situation, and that's where the lantern comes in.
And even when you're tracking, once you get on the blood trail, that surveyor's tape like you were talking
Exactly.
about.
Mark the blood. You have one guy stand on the blood, mark the blood, and the other guy take the lantern and try to find the trail. And if you can't find it, you back up, and then you just start branching out from there. But you always got that last blood marked with tape.
That's a good point he just made. We tracked a deer for a guy this last year together. And you know, we've hunted together a lot, and we work together, and that's very important. I stay back and let Walter look for the blood, and sometimes he'd be 50, 60 yards from the next blood, but I stayed at that last blood, and it helped him keep a line, and when you lost the blood, then you can come back to that point that I'm at and you get started.
Exactly. And it'll also help you come back out of the woods if you're someplace that's unfamiliar, because once it gets dark, even someplace you know, it's very hard to find where you're at. You know, you get turned around, you're looking at the ground, and it's easy to get turned around that way.
And very importantly, don't go out there with 4 or 5 guys and have them walking all over the woods. Leaves get turned over, the least little bit of blood can get washed away. So
I like to use the lantern. I like the one that you put fuel in, because it'll last a lot longer fuel-wise than you're going to stay out there. You use a reflector to reflect the light, throw it forward. If you don't have a reflector, for years I just use a piece of tin foil. I'd line the glass with it,
Good idea.
half of it, throw the light that way, and it actually illuminates the blood on the ground. Also, one other little safety tip, this thing gets real hot, so you want to be careful. If you touch this little top right here, it will brand you.
Oh, it'll wake you up.
It will, yes. Always carry extra mantles. Use it a lot of times, you know, it gets kicked around and bumped around hauling in the truck. I'll put mantles on it to start with. Carry some waterproof matches with me to make sure I've always got an extra light.
All right, let me ask you something. When you're looking for blood, do you hold it out? Where do you hold it like this?
Actually, I hold it like that, and I hold it by the bottom, and I can just turn it just like this and guide it, just like that.
And it reflects that blood. You know,
Exactly.
it usually shines at night. I've always said that I can find blood better at night with a good light. And I have not used a lantern, but I've heard a lot of good things.
It throws
about
it. I'll tell you what it does. It throws a really good solid light down exactly where you want it in a pretty good area, and it's just a solid mass of light. And it's also, you can warm your hands on it when it's cold.
You folks follow Walter's advice. Try a lantern. I guarantee you he knows what he's talking about. It's a good tip, Bubba.
Thank you, man.
Having hunted for 3 days with no luck, Harold moved his old man tree stand in the corner near a hardwood thicket. The first afternoon, a young 6-point appears, and Harold elects to let this fella grow up. Seeing this young buck raises Harold's expectations for this stand site, because he knows the corner of this weed field is a travel entry to the area. Harold decides to tease this buck with a few grunts. As close as he is, the buck knows there's no deer up in that tree and says goodbye. The next morning is a cool, frosty 35 degrees, perfect for whitetail hunting.
I see a real good buck coming up the field.
Now, this is the buck that Harold is looking for. Maybe he'll fall victim to the easy Grunter Plus and come close to investigate. As the deer approaches 35 yards, Harold elects to pass on a questionable walking shot. After stopping in behind the trees for what seemed like an eternity, this old buck decides to check out a doe standing inside the woods. A deer downwind of Harold catches his scent, and the blowing has the buck suspicious. Okay, Harold, it's now or never.
Man, that's a 130-inch deer. Man, was I excited. That dead blame bush zagged me out then. I almost missed my shot. I hit him in the ribs, far back in the ribs. I'm gonna give that deer time. I think it's a good killing shot. We're going to have to give him a little more time. Whew, man, I couldn't take a lot of that. Come on, let's go back. Look, they get that blue there. That's where he stopped. Look where he sort of stumbled. That's been about 75 yards, ain't it?
Been about 75 yards. Look like he's looking out at that trail. I bet he follows that thing.
Yeah. You know, that's got bubbles in it, so that's a good sign of a lung shot, so I know I got his lung. Now here's the trail. I bet he hit.
Whoa, let's don't lose the blood here now.
Stay right here. There he is, over here, right here.
Yep, just that's kind of what we figured.
There you go. There he goes right down right here.
I don't know how you see that like you do.
I can tell you one thing. I hope it continues like that. If we do, we're going to find that deer.
Uh-oh, there's some clotting. That's a good sign, bud.
Man, that's a pretty good trail right here. You've been hunting on that. See that there? He stopped again right there. He's going slower now.
Yeah, that's still good quality. Well, that's long, ain't no question. You got to pick that long. I think he was really fortunate there, but.
No. See where he's slowing down. You can tell the blood coming out now. He's sort of going angling up a little. There's another piece. See here.
Yep. Heck, I can see that. Pull his eye out.
Hey, look yonder he is.
Good.
Yonder he is. I know that stuff wasn't no big shot. Man, he didn't get out of this trail much more.
Man, alive, that is a bug.
Oh, ain't that up here. I know that hit him on. Look at that. Man alive. Ain't that a beauty?
I wish you'd look at the mass.
Man, look what size deer that is. I know that's a big deer. I had a big target shoot. If hadn't I missed him probably.
That deer is gonna field dress well over 200 pounds, bud. We gonna have to, I don't know how we gonna get him out of here.
I can tell you one thing, I'll go get a four-wheeler. It'll take me about an hour, but I'll go get one.
Harold, the deer has got ground shrinkage.
I
I thought he's gonna be a 140 or 50 inch deer. He's still gonna probably make 135 or 40. Main beam's a little short, but he's got some good mass.
He's a typical 9 or 10. He got.
Well, looked like he should have been a 10 there. That's great. You know, thinking back on that hunt this morning, we ain't had time to talk about it much. That deer came up that field and it surprised me because I was looking out in the woods. I ain't really get ready very well, and he came down there.
I wouldn't expect him to come out of the way either.
Well, he got down there, and I apologized for telling you not to shoot because we about knew let that buck go.
I said, it's over with. I said, my goodness. I said, that's a chance. I won't get that chance anymore.
You know, if you're a good archer, I like to take that walking shot because they don't have time to jump your string. And he was walking just slow enough that, and going away like that, you could have hit anywhere up and then gotten his vitals.
A 30-yard shot, I think I could have hit him there. But I tell you what, David, how many times did the does mess us up? And today they saved us.
Sure did. He came right down and turned the edge of the woods, and I didn't know that doe was standing there. And there were some other deer back there. That's the reason I was intensified on what was going on, because I could hear deer walking them leaves. Of course, when he got up there and that doe snorted and he come alert, boy, was he ever beautiful.
I tell you something else too. This was a perfect morning. Cool. You know, it's
well, it's whitetail hunting.
34 degrees, frost. I mean, this was a perfect morning.
Leaves are turning color.
Yeah.
Son, you did good.
I tell you what, you know what? When you shoot a deer, one of the best sights it is then is to see that sucker bedded up or laying up. I'm gonna tell you something. It is no prettier picture than see one laying out there in them leaves.
Well, you reckon it's my turn?
I tell you what, I'm ready to go see you shoot a big buck. One even bigger. I hope you get one twice this that.
Harold, Tony and I have been hunting food sources, all these acorns that are falling. And about 8 o'clock, we through seeing deer. I'm not gonna hunt this evening because I want you to give me some advice on this scrape line right here. Now, I've never been a scrape hunter, but this old boy's been working down through here.
Well, let me tell you some advice I'd give you on a scrape versus your food chain over acorns and things. He liable to come to that anytime during the day. He's gonna be through eating most of the time early and start, you know, maybe late in the afternoon. But you sit on that scrape, David, as long as you can, all day. Right in the middle of the day, sometimes some of the best times.
Well, see, we've had 2 days of raining, and they're supposed to clear out here tomorrow, and he hadn't been here in 2 days because he ain't touched these scrapes.
And it's a good chance he'll come back in the next few hours, and he'll rake that scrape back out and freshen it up. And, you know, the secret is being there when he does it.
Well, it'd be a real confidence builder for me on scrapes if he would show up. Now, Harold, right down there at that little beech tree, he's got what I call his primary scrapes. We've come by 3 scrapes up through there, but I want you to look right here. Now, to me, this is what I would call 4th and Broad. You got a trail coming here, you got a trail coming yonder around that cedar thicket and around this cedar thicket, and he's got these acorn trees right here.
Oh, man. If I've ever seen a midday place, this is back away. You're not even close to a field anywhere. This is a midday place, too.
No, you talking midday. You talking me sitting there 4 or 5 hours?
I just going to test your patience. I know sometimes you have got more than you used to, but I'm going to tell you something. This is a good place, David.
I want you to look at this scrape. We've seen a couple of these, what I call secondaries. Right here's his licking branch.
Oh, man, yeah. Look at the many different ways he can come slip right out through that scrape there.
Could you set over this?
You ain't joking. You better be on your guard, too, boy. He'll be there before you know it.
Well, now listen. Help me pick out which tree you want to put, we think you ought to put this stand in.
I want you to look at this red oak right here. You see that cedar got you blocked some where you can hide behind it. It's still got some leaves on it. And I tell you what, you got a good easy shot from there to here.
You know, I may choose that tree right there, Harold, but there's one problem with it.
What was that?
If I choose that tree, then I'm gonna have to give you a whole lot of credit for this hunt if I happen to be successful.
Well, now you would forfeit that to be successful, wouldn't you?
Let me ask you this, talking about forfeiting that. Will you help me put the 3 stands up?
Well, sure, I'd help you put it up.
Just kidding you, bud. You done enough. Old man 3 stands will be easy enough. I'll just hang them myself.
It'd be better than 1, though.
I don't want you really.
The next morning finds David sitting patiently along the primary scrape. Since it's just before the peak of rut, a little rattling and calling will be the order of the day. After waiting for enough light to video with, David's first rattling sequence gets an immediate response. A nice basket rack 8-pointer comes close to investigate, but decides something is wrong and heads for greener pastures. After 3 hours of rattling and calling, David's patience is wearing thin when, like a ghost, a good 8-point appears coming to the scrape. The buck stops long enough to search for some acorns, allowing David time to get ready. From the looks of the battle scars on this deer, he may not be the dominant buck in the area, but David has no plans to pass this trophy up.
Shot plumb through him at 18 yards. That Simmons broadhead had to do some tremendous damage. He's going to be bleeding out both sides. We're not going to have any trouble finding this deer. I bet he doesn't go 100 yards. I know he went right through these trees right here. Over here. That's long blood. He's not going far. Went right through here. There's blood. Oh man, he's bleeding hard. He's got this. This is gonna be quick. Just look at it, just pouring out. Yep, that's lung blood. Bubbles all in it. Here goes this way. Good, man. Man, there's all kinds of blood here. He stopped right here. Yonder he is. I knew he couldn't go far. Well, he went in a circle right there. Yeah. A good open young. Look there, look at here, look at here. Hey, big boy. Man, look what eye guards that joker's got. A good 125 to 130 inch buck. That Simmons clipped him down through the vitals. Big boy, you done me proud. You just had to come back to that scrape line, didn't you? You know, something happened this morning that was quite unique. First of all, he came in there just like that. I never got to stand up. I was afraid he's going to see me all the time. And I think this is a great tip when you talk about being able to shoot a bow and arrow.
Did you shoot him sitting down?
I shot him sitting down.
I'm going to tell you something, a bow's harder to pull back sitting down than it is standing up.
Absolutely, and I suggest anybody, because you know we've done a whole lot of that, setting up in stands and trying to practice from sitting down in all kinds of angles. And the other thing that was interesting was I shot him while he was walking. You know, I've always said, now he might have been walking a little bit faster than I wanted him to, but he was fixing to leave there. And when a deer is walking, he don't have a tendency to jump your string.
He don't hear you as much, and you know, you're right. He won't jump the string as much walking as he will sitting still.
Because you know, when the arrow is going down, and I think this is another tip that people need to know, when your arrow is going downhill, the gravity is going to make you shoot higher. It's not going to do this number. It's going straight down, and so when you do that, you're automatically going to shoot 2 to 3 inches higher, and as well showed here, I shot him high, but it's a good shot because it was going down.
Well, more people will shoot high on a deer than low and with a bow. And I tell you something, David, I always like to see somebody shoot a deer in the lungs or rib area. Now, stay away from that shoulder. Yeah, that heart's right through there. But if you want to kill a deer with a bow, you hit him in those ribs, through the lungs, that deer's not going far.
You take his arrow away from his head.
That's exactly what it is. I tell you something else too, David, you shoot white fletchings. White fletchings is good, and there's a reason for white fletching. A lot of people say, why is it camouflage from head to toe and use white fletching? That shows you where you hit that deer, and that tells you how long you need to wait if you happen to make a bad shot, and it's very important to know where you hit a deer, and you can tell where you hit one with white fletching.
You sure can, and we did this morning. I knew when I asked Tony, because he was looking right down there at it, I said, was it a good hit, because I never peeped. And he said, he's dead, you got him.
Boy, oh boy, this is a sight every whitetail hunter hopes to see. This big, typical 10-point is a 160 class animal, and you can bet he has Knight and Hale's pro staffer Jim McConaughey just a little nervous about now. It's the third day of Jim's hunt at Cane Mount Plantation in Mississippi, when this big boy comes strolling out into a food plot on the trail of a doe. During the rut, bucks will dart in and out of the herd, chasing and scent-checking does. And in a split second, a doe can try to escape and run right under you with the buck in hot pursuit. Jim's ready, and if we could read his mind, this avid archer might be wishing for a rifle about now. It seems like this big boy is torn between chasing does and running other bucks away. There's no doubt that he's the king in this area. Well, if this old buck turns away, it may be the last Jim will see of him. Bow hunting has a way of humbling a person and at the same time rewarding him with the opportunity of observing such a creature.
We had a great hunt this morning. Just to be able to see a deer like that made that hunt complete. The only thing been better maybe to get a good quality shot at him, but it's so awfully tough when you're hunting deer in a field scenario like this to get a shot. That's the only thing we could hope for is a doe come and feed down that lane and him possibly follow her in there. We're going to give it one more evening in that particular area. We've been noticing, this is a good tip for any of you that are hunting fields. These deer are real active during the midday hours. And we've been noticing that down there to the end of the field that there's a shady pocket. And that's where those does been feeding early in the afternoon. We don't do any good this evening. Tomorrow morning, after we hunt this evening, we're going to move our stands, and tomorrow morning, that's where we'll be.
The next morning, Jim is sitting comfortably in his climbing stand at his new location. The wind is perfect, and Jim's confidence is high because several does are feeding just below his stand location. Odds are any buck that enters the field will make a beeline straight to these ladies. It's not long until Jim catches some movement when the sun reflects off the antler of a nice whitetail. Immediately, Jim reaches for Knight and Hale's new rut and buck call to hopefully coax the buck to his location.
Jim, you finally had a little bit of luck, or we did, but the only element of luck that we really had was the shot. You got lucky and hit the femoral artery, and it wasn't a bad shot. The deer was just walking, and that's one of the things of bow hunting. But if you had take the opportunity and give the folks an idea about how to hunt an area like we just got through hunting. It's different than most areas that you bow hunt.
Right. We spent all of our hunt here hunting a green field that a lot of does were using. Of course, we had sighted an exceptional animal in the field that made us have the confidence to sit there. But the one thing I would tell people is don't limit yourself, particularly this time of year with the rut in full swing, to hunting a food source in the evening, because those deer were using that field all day long, and there were different bucks checking the field at different times of day.
You know, we looked at when we saw the most bucks, and I'd say the most productive time in seeing bucks was 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and most people are back laying around the camp during those hours.
That's true. We had a lot of buck activity in the late morning and early afternoon.
Don't you think sometimes that bucks lose the does that they're chasing early and during the night?
Come
and
back
then
to get another one.
They come back to an area where they know does have been frequenting. Well, how would you rate the bow hunting here at Cane Mountain? You've been here 3 seasons now.
In all seriousness, I rate it tops, and you know, I've hunted a lot of places, a lot of states. This is as fine a bow hunting. The Ray John and his staff truly are interested in you having a good hunt and a successful hunt.
You know, to be a successful deer hunter, one needs to know what transition the whitetails are in during the period that he plans to hunt. Dick Tillman is a seasoned archery hunter who spends countless hours every year scouting and planning for his hunting days afield. This hunt falls during the time of season we consider as post-rut. During the post-rut phase, a hunter may experience some rut activity, but his odds will be better if he hunts a food source close to some thick cover. The deer in this area have been active and are concentrated around mass crops like red and white oak acorns. A cedar thicket parallels this ridge, offering a great travel corridor for the whitetails to use. Usually during the post-rut, a hunter will not see as many deer, which can be to his advantage if a lone buck should come feeding along. This old buck is following a well-traveled path, feeding as he goes. Dick's Terra tree stand hangs only a few yards from the trail this big 9-point has come down. Although it seems like Mr. Tillman has a really close shot, as always, brush and limbs are in the way. Dick can only remain calm and hope for an opening down the trail. Dick's shot is just a little back of perfect. Watch closely, and you'll see this buck lay down in sight of our hunter. Dick will sit quietly and give the deer at least 1 hour.
I hit that deer a little back, I think. Back in, it looked like maybe the liver area. If it is, it's just as good as a lung shot, but it's been about almost 2 hours now, I think, since I shot. And I saw the deer circle us, and then he laid down in off this bottom, down this ridge. And I think he's dead down there. But it's an awful good idea, especially bow hunting. If you hit a deer where you think you're back a little bit out of the liver, out of the lung area, or if you're not sure where you hit him, give him plenty of time. The worst thing you can do with an injured deer is get on him too quick and push him, because you're going to lose him a lot of times, especially in this kind of weather where it could be raining at any minute. But I think he's down right over there, and we'll go over there and get him. Right. Right. 9 point. He's a pretty rag. Looks like a 4.5-year-old deer to me at least. Nice animal. Look at that. Well, it's a good thing we let him go for a while, because it looks like we hit him back just a little ways. Took him a while to come over here and lay down and die. There he is. I'm proud of that deer.
Let's join our team for an ultimate whitetail hunting tip.
With all the deer call seminars I do throughout the U.S. and Canada, the most common asked question on deer calling is, what do I call and when do I do it? How much? It's very easy to understand. Right here we have a little call holder. I just wanted to show you, because that's one of the innovations I found in calling, and I've been in calling a long time, that's really effective. Slips right on the end of your call. What we want to do is we want to discuss a little bit about how to call and what they mean. The first thing we're going to teach you is a short grunt. A short grunt's made by bucks and does both. It's used year-round, and it can be used before the rut, during the rut, and after the rut. So remember, a short grunt, and the meaning in English is, where are you? Or here I am, whichever side of the coin you look at. Let's give you an example of that right here. That's a short grunt. So enjoy that one. You can use it anytime. Another one would be an aggressive buck grunt. An aggressive buck grunt is made by a buck when he's literally chasing a doe. She could be right in front of him or a half hour ahead of him. But when he gets the idea to chase him, you know the position he gets. He puts that old head down, throws that rack back, runs stiff-legged, and he's going after. Now all he wants to do is make a tending buck grunt, and it sounds like this. Now what I'm doing is I'm breathing in and out on the same end of the call and getting a sound in both directions. That's one of the capabilities of the night and hail calls that have the word plus in the name. This happens to be an easy grunter plus doe bleat. Now let's get right on to that doe bleat. Let's hear it first. What does that mean? Simple. It means the same thing as a short grunt. It means, where are you, or here I am. It's just a separated sound made by deer. It can be used year-round also. So remember, a short grunt, an aggressive buck grunt, or the doe bleat. Let's get into one more. Do a little bit on a fawn bleat call. Again, it's an all-year-round call. and that would be a fawn bleat. Don't rule out any of these calls. You got the long grunt or the aggressive buck grunt, you got the short grunt, you got the doe bleat or the fawn bleat. Remember, just put a little feeling and emotion in it and have a lot of fun. And if you've never tried deer calling, listen to me. Get up in that tree, sit there, and enjoy it just a little bit more, because there's nothing like the satisfaction of knowing you called it to you. So go enjoy your deer calling times.
Avid deer hunter Mike Hanback has volunteered to team up with David Hale on some eastern whitetail rattling. The Knight and Hale team has found a 6,500-acre tract under intensive management with an excellent buck-doe ratio. They've been instructed to only take a 140 class buck. For 3 days, several sets were made in all kinds of weather conditions. First day, Mike uses his own rattling and calling techniques and gets what turns out to be one of the better bucks in 3 days to come to his set.
You got all that, man. Can you believe it? Had it coming to the horns right now. Nice buck came right up through this draw here. He came up and I saw him and I got to get around, got the horns down, and kind of tipped behind some brush over there, and I couldn't really get a good shot at him. But boy, they're just really coming to it right now. I mean, they're just hitting it good. Nice buck too.
On the second day, Mike decides to try higher altitudes to help cover his scent. A good hardwood ridge offers an excellent calling position. On the first rattle of Antlers, Mike gets an immediate response. As usual, it is the typical young bucks that tend to run in first and give the game away. By mid-afternoon on the second day, a snowstorm rolls in, and Mike crawls in between two dead logs to rattle. Once again, a 100 class buck shows up, but he's not big enough for Mike to shoot. the day continues, so did the snow and sleet. Thanks to the buckwing umbrella, Mike stayed dry, but the big boys didn't show up. On the third day, most of the snow had disappeared with warmer temperatures. A new area overlooking a field opening offers Mike his last chance before more weather moved in. Once again, it is the young buck that shows himself as he tries to pick up the wind.
My idea behind rattling is to get a set of horns that sound like horns, and that is a pair of sheds. And you might won't just tell me your idea behind it. And I've watched you beat the ground and do all this and that. What do you think?
My theory on rattling, David, is we talked about this a lot as we were working. You know, I like to start off when I'm rattling just with a little tickling, a little sparring. Because suppose the buck's out there, you know, bedded down maybe or traveling through 80, 100 yards, just capture his attention with it, you know. These subdominant bucks like you're talking about, they're out there now, the big bucks have got the estrus stows and they're prowling around and they're looking for rutting activity, listening for rut sounds, and sometimes just that little tinkling will make it happen.
Well, you've been throwing in some grunting sounds to go with it, which is very normal. When bucks are really digging it out, they're grunting. And one of the things that I have found, and this has changed what I call a passive sport into an active sport. You know, when you think of active sports, you think of bulls bugling and turkeys gobbling, but you don't think of that in whitetail deer. We just made a very interesting active sport out of a passive deal.
That's right. You know, you do that, start off with the tinkling, then you get more aggressive with your rattling, and I'll tell you, when you see that buck coming, it's going to be an active for you, I can promise you.
I'll tell you what, when a deer runs in like he has, that's exciting to me. I don't care if he's like this right here. And you know what? When they come in, they expect to see movement and they expect to hear noise. And it's almost like, okay, guys, who are y'all? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to identify yourself before I boat. So you've got time to size that animal up. And one of the exciting things really is you don't ever know which direction he's coming from.
You never know.
But the key to rattling is always keep that wind dead in your face.
Got to keep the wind in your favor, and a lot of times you'll catch them trying to circle you, but it's got to be right when you go in so you don't blow them out of there when you're going in.
Well, you know what? Rifle season's a great time to get on the ground, put your orange on, stalk around, go from place to place. Son, this can be fun.
What we did, slipped around, made a set, moved 300-400 yards, 500 yards, did it again, had great success.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Right now, you know, the rut's just beginning to kick in, and where them does are going, them bucks are going to follow. I believe we'll see some action.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've got a particular kind of stand that I'm going to put up. We need to put them up this season. I found a hot spot back there where they've really been using the clover field. I really love these little valleys in Tennessee. They're beautiful. I don't know whether this is somebody's wheat crop or whether it's a food plot, but whatever it is, from the looks of the sign, the deer here.
I'm looking forward to it, buddy.
In the morning, something's going to happen.
Bill Bynum is a firm believer in game calling. Only an hour after daylight the next morning, Bill has grunted a young buck to the edge of a field. You know, during the pre-rut time of the season, bucks are on the prowl. Bill has been calling every 20 or 30 minutes on this hunt, and not long after the first buck shows, another set of antlers appears. This is the buck our hunter has waited for, a good, mature whitetail. Now, all Mr. Bynum has to do is coax him into good black powder range. Bill is an excellent caller. Notice he never grunts when the deer is looking in his direction. He waits until the animal is walking or has his head down.
about 75 yards. The way he's bleeding, that buck can't go much further. No, he's bleeding. Dang. Well, I knew he couldn't go much further, and he hadn't. I believe he looks a little better on the ground than he did out in the field. Oh, yeah. 9-pointer, claw. Man, I love this muzzleloader hunting.
On the first day of the Kentucky deer gun season, the Night and Hail team invites longtime friend John Bolt to try his luck on a bluegrass buck. Choosing a stand overlooking a food plot surrounded by thickets is John's first choice. About 45 minutes before dark, the blue jays alert our hunter that something is coming out of the woods. A good 6-point buck comes into view, but John has elected to pass since this is only opening day. After entering the field, he senses something is wrong and wastes no time heading for cover. The next day, John chooses a stand high in an oak patch, overlooking a field opening. As the fog lifts, several does and fawns were spotted feeding on acorns, while one yearling is enjoying Mama's breakfast. After about 15 minutes, John spots some movement in the edge of the woods.
Here comes a pretty good buck from the left.
It's a big 10-pointer. It's the peak of rut, and this old boy comes across, hoping to find a willing doe.
Man, what a beautiful day in the woods. A great 10-pointer, a great hunt, and boy, we don't have far to drag them.
Let me ask you something. What happened on that first shot?
Well, I've been known to throw up an air ball occasionally, and I think the excitement of it all and looking at the antlers on this good old deer kind of got to me. And
I didn't have you stand fixed where you had a rest either. You had to shoot it off your shoulder, didn't you?
Well, that's all right. This buck's made my day.
You made a good shot on him when he came down through there and stood broadside finally, and you busted him. And I tell you what, this is a prime example. You hit him right behind the front shoulder. He didn't run 50 yards. I always tell everybody, shoot in those ribs if you're going to bring your deer down. You'll find him when you let that air out. A lot of people like to shoot him in the front shoulder right there or just a little bit back because they think the bullet can penetrate, and some of them can. But in this case, with a .243, you hit him exactly in the